Hi, I'm Bill Sproul. The Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters is committed to educating the public about critical economic issues that affect their daily lives. That is why we are proud to support important programming produced by the CAUCUS Educational Corporation.
Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the law firm of GIBBONS, PC, Hackensack Meridian Health, the Turl Fund, supporting right from the start NJ, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Suez, water solutions to meet tomorrow's environmental challenges, Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters, your future is in our building, and by Fedway Associates. Promotional support provided by Insider NJ and by Meadowlands Chamber, building connections, driving business growth. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No. People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Everything you've ever wanted or needed to know about what's going on in the state of New Jersey and the Democratic Party, and also what it means nationally. We are pleased to be joined by the President of the Senate in New Jersey, Senator Steve Sweeney. Good to see you, Senator.
It's great to see you, Steve.
You've been on the road a lot, and you've been holding town meetings under the guise of, not the guise, in fact, the Path to Progress report. We've talked about this a few months back. What is the report, and why is it relevant to everyone watching right now, Senator?
Steve, it's a pathway to fixing the state of New Jersey. And I want to make it clear, it's not my report. We had some of the top people in the state of New Jersey, economists, tax experts, government experts, put this report together. And I promised them if they would work hard that I would advance this report. It calls for, fixing the pension system, fixing the healthcare system. Pension healthcare savings, if we change them, could be $3 billion where we could reduce taxes.
Senator, let's clarify. When you say the pension and healthcare situation, you mean for state public employees?
Yes.
Break it down a little bit. What is, I've asked you this before, but bring us up to speed. What is the crisis?
The crisis right now is, Steve, all the money that comes into the state each year, we have growth in revenue every year. Every penny is going to pension and healthcare costs now. There's no money to invest in colleges. There's no money to invest anywhere unless you raise taxes. And New Jersey's got the 5th highest tax burden in the nation, and it's time to fix the problems rather than just keep taxing.
What do you say needs to be done with public employees, who many argue have, in fact, made many concessions, including the Communication Workers of America, who I believe before Governor Murphy's recent budget address, they reached some sort of quote-unquote historic agreement on compromising regarding health care benefits. I mean, didn't they make progress already?
Listen, I give the CWA credit for making progress. They made progress. They're not where we need to be, but they actually stepped forward and negotiated. One of the things you have to understand, Steve, when the governor announced $800 million in savings along with the CWA, a lot of those recommendations came from the legislature last year that the administration had said, we don't believe. But I want to give Governor Murphy credit because what he did was he went back and looked at the recommendations and realized what we were offering was real. So there's not $800 million coming from the CWA direct contracts. A lot of those recommendations were audits, looking at benefit managers, looking at savings in all those areas. So good start. But Steve, we need to go further. A teacher's, on average, and the state education health benefit plan, right, where a lot of the teachers are moving out of now, one teacher's family plan is $39,000 a year.
And you say to that?
It's ridiculous. It's not fair to teachers. It's not fair to taxpayers. Steve, the teachers, if they move to what the CWA just did, if they moved just to where the CWA went, they would be paying $3,000 less out of pocket and have really good health insurance. What we're saying is we want to have our employees have gold plans. You know what a gold plan is? what Johnson & Johnson and all these corporate Fortune 500
As opposed
companies,
to?
as opposed to platinum.
How much more expensive is platinum than gold?
Steve, it's millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. Understand, what we have here is the most expensive healthcare system, public healthcare system in the nation.
New Jersey
New
does?
Jersey. No one's close to us. The actuarial value of the teacher's plan is 97, retire plan is 97% actuarial value. We think the CWA's plan is about 86. We need to get down to 80.
By the way, excuse me for interrupting, Senator. The Communication Workers of America represent a significant number of state public employees. The teachers are represented by the New Jersey Education Association. Yeah. If folks are looking for a different perspective on this, go to our website, which our team will put up right now. We actually did an in-depth interview with the head of the New Jersey Education Association, and we talked about this, and let's just say he has a different perspective from the Senate President.
Yeah, listen, Steve, but numbers are numbers. So they can say it's different. The state education health benefit plan, the numbers are, it was 42,000. There's been an improvement. It's gone down. It's gone down to 38 or 39,000.
Right.
It's still, Steve, no one has that kind of health insurance. I'm a union iron worker. My guys pay $17,000 a year for their health insurance. They pay 100% of their health care. We, the taxpayers, are paying for $39,000 health care plans. It doesn't exist anywhere in the country. We, together, everyone together needs to fix this problem.
By the way, I want to disclose something real quick. I mentioned NJEA. They are, in fact, a supporter of public television, a supporter of what we do at the CAUCUS Educational Corporation. Senator, let me try this. When you sit down with the governor,
yeah.
You haven't sat down with the president yet, have you?
Not yet, thank God.
Okay. We'll get to that in a minute. When you sit down with the governor and you talk about these specific policy areas in terms of cutting costs, health, pension, and real tax policy, he has a different view of taxing wealthier New Jerseyans than you do. You've said absolutely not. The Speaker of the Assembly, Craig Coughlin, told us absolutely not. What is that conversation like? Other than being civil, which I know it is, what's the progress you're making?
Well, Steve, we're in different places. People forget, last year, we taxed billion-dollar corporations. You know, our corporate business tax went up. When people say tax the rich, we actually taxed the people, the companies that benefited the greatest from the SALT program. You're
talking about the Republican Trump federal tax changes in 17. Go ahead.
Increases for New Jersey. So what happened is corporations, C corporations, went from 35% down to 21%. So we raised...
And their tax rate.
On their tax rate. So what we said is, you're the biggest benefactor of this tax cut for corporations. We're going to take some of that to help fund the government. So we did tax the wealthy. We taxed the richest corporations in the world. And you know something? The corporate business tax has far exceeded its projections. Now,
in terms of revenue coming in?
Revenue coming in. Now, where we have a problem? Income tax. It's not coming in where we need it.
I mean, the amount of... Okay, so devil's advocate, the governor is saying, let's increase the income tax, the state income tax, on wealthier New Jerseyans. He is one of them.
Yeah.
And you've said absolutely not. But isn't that going to bring in, quote, more revenue to the state if we do that?
No, you're going to wind up bringing in less because people with that kind of income can leave. Steve, the biggest concern, look, I sponsored the millionaire's tax 6 times,
Then why did you stop?
For one reason, the SALT, state and local tax.
So when the president and the Republicans, sorry for interrupting, Senator, when the president and Republicans in Congress said, look, we are going to limit your ability to deduct your state and local taxes, your property taxes, your state taxes, to 10 grand.
Yeah.
What does that mean in a state like New Jersey?
What it means is you can't write your income tax off anymore like we used to. You can't write off your property taxes.
So you say you pay 30, 40 grand in property taxes, you write off 10 grand. That's not even your state taxes.
That's what I'm saying. Steve, myself, I haven't done anything different this year than last year with my income. Last year I broke even between state and federal. This year I'm going to pay $10,000. I didn't do anything different. I didn't leave New Jersey.
So you lost. You're one of the 400,000, the numbers are here. Help me on this, Jackie. 400,000 New Jerseyans who wound up on the short end in their taxes.
I got to tell you, it's going to be a lot more middle-class people than you think once they start filing. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to that said where they've gotten money back, they are now paying. And I'm not a wealthy guy, Steve. I mean, listen, do I do well? I do very well.
Explain to folks your, quote, other job.
My other job, I'm a vice president for the Ironworkers International Union. I'm a union person. That's what I do for a living. That's why I can't understand why we can't get together and fix this problem. There won't be money for raises. There's not money for anything right now because all the money is going into these two pots.
What does the governor say when you say that to him?
Well, listen, we just respectfully disagree in how he approaches it. He says, once we get to fully funding our pension payment, then he's going to go negotiate.
Hold on. The governor is saying, and by the way, we will have the governor, just trying to work out the schedule. Once the state meets its obligation to pay into the state employee pension fund to the degree we're committed to, then what?
Then he will try, he said, then I'm going to go sit at the table and say, now we did our share, you need to help us.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with it is it's too late. Okay. We are so deep in the hole. Listen, the governor went to Wall Street to show him present his budget. And I had this conversation with the governor. I said,
straight up, just two of you?
It was 3 or 4 of us, and I said, Governor, I give you a lot of credit for doing it because that says a lot of his commitment to trying to improve the finances of the state. But I told him, I says, it doesn't matter who goes to Wall Street. If you don't address the pension issue, which is a $115 billion issue, you're never getting an upgrade. You're never getting a change. Well, guess what? He went to Wall Street. They said, you're doing better. But what about the pension problem? Steve, in Pennsylvania, they just changed their pension system to exactly what we're talking about.
What you're talking about?
Yeah. A progressive Democrat governor, a Republican legislature agreed to a hybrid pension system.
What about the state employees?
Listen.
They agreed?
They went along with it. Steve, I live in the Philadelphia media market. I'm looking for where the fight was. You know, we've been through this. You've covered this. Get a couple articles in newspapers out of Harrisburg.
There was no war over it.
Little or no
Why
blowback.
not? Then what makes New Jersey so different?
Because they you know what's frustrating? They think...
You keep saying they.
The public workforce thinks because we're all Democrats that it's okay. It's not. Listen, Pennsylvania, if you read the articles, one of the union leaders said, listen, we got a Republican legislature. If we get another Republican governor, we might have some really serious issues on our hands with the pension. So we cut the best deal we could and took this issue off the table to fix it.
I got to ask you something. You said the thing about Democrats. So sometimes the public employee unions, and then they'll speak for themselves. We'll have their union representatives here. Sometimes because people are Democrats, they'll act a certain way. You are a certain kind of Democrat. The Governor Murphy's a certain kind of Democrat. Congressman Ocasio-Cortez is a certain kind of Democrat. We just actually had Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill on our sister program, Think Tank. She's a certain kind of Democrat. Are you really all in the same party for real? I know the whole Big Tent thing's going to happen. You can talk about that. But are you really all in the same philosophical party?
Yeah, I think we are because there's a lot of things we do agree on. Look, with Governor Murphy, we fixed women's health care. You know, we did pay equity. We've done the minimum wage.
As we speak, you have not been able to get marijuana legalized in the state.
As we speak. As we speak, but we are on the same page with that. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of areas we're on the same page. I'm socially progressive, but I'm fiscally conservative, and I'm a Democrat.
Can you be that in this party today?
Well, you know something? The majority of the party, I just read an article where the difference is the social media is driving a lot of things, but it's the minority of the Democrats that are on social media. The majority are not in investing their time there. The majority are people like myself that feel a certain way that, hey, listen, even progressive Democrats are taxpayers. Public employees are taxpayers. I had a teacher last night. I was in South Orange at Seton Hall. A teacher came up and says, you know, I'm going to have to leave the state because I can't afford my taxes. And he was talking about how much he's paying for health insurance now. I don't want teachers to leave the state.
We don't want anyone to leave the state.
Just so you know, 30% of our public employees leave New Jersey when they retire because it's too expensive.
We lose all that revenue as well.
Yes.
This is Steve Adubato. We're talking to the president of the New Jersey State Senate, Steve Sweeney. More about fiscal policy, about the future of the Democratic Party, and also the Senate president very much wants to talk about the president, Donald Trump. We'll be right back after this.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, PhD, and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
This is Steve Adubato. We're talking to the president of the state Senate, Steve Sweeney, about every issue that you could possibly imagine that matters. Real quick, not medical marijuana. We're still dealing with that question as to more accessibility for those who need it. Legalizing marijuana in the state. As we do this program on the 17th of April, it'll air after. What do you say, Senator, the odds?
50-50. We're still trying to gather votes for it. You know, Steve, this is a vote where people are passionate, and you know, it's trying to convince more than twist. You know, arms, trying to convince people it's the right thing.
Did you push hard?
I pushed as hard as I could. You know, there's limits, and again, when this is a vote of conscience. You know, some votes are just voting for this or that. This is a vote of conscience.
Someone says it's morally wrong. How hard are you going to push them?
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to. You know what, more importantly, what you do is try to convince them why. Like when I went to Colorado, I saw opioid. What sold me on this was opioid abuse went down 29%.
When they legalized marijuana?
When they legalized marijuana. So for me, am I trading one drug for another? Yes, but guess what? People aren't overdosing on marijuana.
So you're convinced it's a good thing?
I think it is. I saw young underage drug use go down. You know, we've lost this war. People can buy marijuana whenever they want, wherever they want. And I remember 5-6 years ago, a mother in Camden buying some synthetic marijuana and cutting her 5-year-old child's head off and putting it in a freezer. You know, that's scary stuff.
Not to mention the social justice aspects of this, and that African-American men are much more likely to be in prison than whites who are in possession of marijuana.
And Steve, and Senator Sandy Cunningham has a bill.
From Jersey City, right?
Has a bill attached to this that is probably the most progressive bill on expungement in the nation, where anyone that has committed a crime that's expungible.
Right.
We passed this bill. If you hadn't done anything in the last 5 years or going forward for 5 years, your record's expunged.
Can we talk tax incentives?
Yeah.
A lot of moving parts, a lot of things are happening as we speak right now. You've been a big advocate of tax incentives. Yeah. I asked you during the break about the Amazon deal in New York. It's a different state, it's a different situation, but New York lost that deal, and Governor Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio were critical of those who in Congress and others, like Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, who said it wasn't a good deal. 25,000 jobs were involved. More complicated than that, I know. Question, to what degree do you believe in tax incentives, and where are they a problem and being abused?
Well, when you have Governor Cuomo and de Blasio agreeing,
which they do not often,
tells you how important this was. The whole country was chasing that, as you know, and they landed it. And the lack of knowledge, first off, really, there's an education process that has to go through, because I know the Congresswoman said, well, now that this is gone, we got $3 billion for teachers or transit or whatever.
Was that true?
No, because without the jobs, there is no money. You know, you need the jobs in order to get the money. And if you look at Jersey City, if you look at Newark, if you look at Camden, you tell me tax incentives haven't changed the world in those cities? They're starting to change.
But Senator, respectfully, sorry for interrupting, how far should the government be going to get a business? Listen, everyone talks about the marketplace, capitalism, let the free market decide, and then government gets involved and says, listen, we're going to give you a deal to come here because you otherwise wouldn't come here. Yeah. Doesn't that tip the scales?
Steve, it's unfortunately what we deal with all around the country. How about this? Amazon, this is how much trouble New Jersey's in. We offered Amazon $7 billion. They went to New York for 1.5. We offered $7 billion. You know,
and New Jersey did?
In New Jersey, we wanted them in Newark. It would have been a game changer for Newark. It would have been the same labor pool. You know, this is the New York market. So the jobs, you know, people
would have come here.
They would have came here.
And you think it would have been worth it, even with a company? I mean, Amazon delivers a lot of boxes to our houses. I know, my house. I know, and others. Do you think a company that rich needed those tax incentives?
Listen, I didn't say they need them, but that's the way the world works. If you want to,
what you seem to be saying is you were playing by the rules as they are.
Yeah, and listen, perfect example. Governor Murphy just went to California to promote the film tax credits, and you know something? And it's working.
It is,
and it's a good thing. So I don't like. Listen, I was a freeholder director in Gloucester County for 13 years. I can't tell you how many times businesses from Pennsylvania would come over and say, hey, we want to come over here. We put our team together, we put the best deal together, and they would go back to Pennsylvania, see who gave them the best deal.
Got it.
It's life.
I say President Trump, you say.
Oh, my God.
By the way, this is Senate President Steve Sweeney. He's the one doing the talking right now. What do you mean, oh, my God?
Listen, I've never seen a country so divided and so full of hatred and so full of anger. He's unleashed.
But you don't blame it on
feelings.
him.
Yeah, I do blame it on him.
Not alone.
Well, no, listen, listen, this was always there. You know, this is always undercover in a lot of places. You know, racism and hatred, it's
We saw
there.
when President Obama was president.
Exactly.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. And you know something? But I guess he's brought it out from the darkness and said it's okay to be this way.
What
And
way? Describe what that is.
just over the top, insulting people, hurting people. And you know, again, for me, I'm a believer if we're all in it together, we're better off than you're on your own. And I think President Trump is more you're on your own.
You know, two things. One, I'm curious about something. I want to ask you about 2020 in a second.
Yeah.
But you got into this. We've had this conversation many times. Explain to folks your personal reasons for being a public official.
Well, I had a daughter born with Down syndrome, and Lauren, and she's the love of my life. And you know, and I love my son. I love both my kids. You know that. But she transformed me, Steve. She made me an advocate. She made me someone that believed that, you know, people with disabilities, there's great value on those people if given an opportunity. And everything I've done in politics is really driven to try to improve opportunities for people with disabilities to get jobs. And I tell people, and I thank you for asking, please look beyond the disability, because there's a person in there that can really be a productive citizen. My daughter, at 18, got a boyfriend. You know,
I remember you told me about this.
I'm still not happy about that.
How old is she now?
She's 26. At 21, she told me she could drink. I said, Lauren, O'Doul's is my favorite beer, but she works at a daycare center. Most importantly, she's living such a full, productive life, as full a life as she can. And what I urge people, any employers, that give them a chance, because you're going to hire a really good employee.
She's doing well.
She's doing a bit better than me.
Still 2020.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
Yeah, I'm supporting Cory Booker. He's a Jersey guy, and I think he's where we need to be in the middle.
So stay on this. You have had a very, listen, we will date ourselves. Hope not too much.
Yeah.
You've had a very close relationship with former Vice President Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You've worked together, geographically close, okay. Philosophically as well. Yeah. If he jumps into this race, do you say to yourself, wait a minute, odds-on favorite right now, Cory Booker was where he is, I need to be with the Vice President?
Listen, I love the Vice President. I think the world of him. We always thought of him as the third senator in New Jersey. You know that. He was always in New Jersey helping us with things. And if Cory hadn't jumped in the race, absolutely, would I be? Joe Biden hasn't yet.
As we are speaking,
As
that's
we're
right.
speaking, he hasn't yet.
If he does, it's not going to change it.
It can't.
What do you mean it can't?
I made my commitment, and I believe in Cory.
But is it a question of who you think is going to beat Donald Trump?
No. If Cory wasn't in the race,
okay,
I would jump with Joe Biden tomorrow.
What about if people who talk about the only thing that matters, should matter to Democrats is, quote, beating Donald Trump?
I agree.
And you believe that Senator Booker, former mayor of Newark, has the best chance of beating the president in 2020?
Listen, I think he, Joe Biden, represent the part of the Democrat Party that I'm from, which is we're in the middle, which is where 80% of us are. And, you know, it's not, look, I'm pragmatic. You know, you don't always get everything you want in life. And what I see with the progressives is if you don't get everything the way they want it, they get angry and they primary and fight with you and everything else.
Does that bother you?
Well, it bothers me because, listen, they have a right to do that.
Of course they do.
absolutely
That's what
have a
makes
right
this
to-
country great.
But it doesn't make us stronger.
Who's us? Is it the Democratic Party or the country?
Listen, for me, it's the Democrat Party. Look, the Republicans have the Tea Party, and that doesn't make the Republicans.
You mean extremists?
Yeah. So you have two extremes, and you get the 10%ers on both ends. 80% of us really are in the middle. And our country would be better served from the middle than from all the way on the left or all the way on the right. I think really, because you connect to more people, we need to pull people together, not divide. And right now, we're a divided country.
Are we a divided state?
Well, sometimes. You know that sometimes people look at South Jersey and think South Jersey doesn't belong in New Jersey.
As you say?
I say, I still live in New Jersey, and I'm proud to live in New Jersey. I love New Jersey.
30 seconds left. You've always been an optimistic guy. You're optimistic about the country?
Well, I have to be. There's only one way to go, up.
In spite of the political discourse and the presidency right now?
Well, I would like to see them try to bring back some civility. Look, even when we disagree in New Jersey, we work together.
You've been listening to the President of the State Senate, Steve Sweeney, and we thank you for joining us, Senator.
Thanks, Steve.
We wish you and your family, and particularly Lauren, all the best.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Adubato. Catch you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by the law firm of GIBBONS, P.C., Hackensack Meridian Health, the Turl Fund, supporting right from the start NJ, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Suez, Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters, Fedway Associates, and by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State, and by Employers Association of New Jersey.
Perfectly orchestrated, in sync with your life. Hackensack Meridian Health is redefining how health and care come together. Because when everything works together, your world gets better. Hackensack Meridian Health, life years ahead.